Hello, and welcome back to our Sporcle Clickable History YouTube series. Yesterday, we left off with the first 5 quizzes in this Clickable History series. The first one doesn't really count in my opinion because it was so easy. Did really, really poorly on the second one, and then held our own on the next 3. Today, we will be playing 6 through 10. Which one did I do? I did 21. So the numbers are going to get messed up at some point, but that's okay. Yeah, we're going to continue this eyewitness thing that we did in quiz 5 yesterday for most of today, and then we'll finish off with some same country, different historical figure, and European history figures by century. And then it looks like we're going to get into more years things tomorrow. So let's go ahead and get started. He snatched a trumpet from one of them and ran to the river with it. Then, sounding the advance with a piercing blast, he crossed to the other side. Whoa. Okay. So this is similar to, this is the same as what we were doing yesterday. I actually really like this. So this is fun, but it might be rather difficult. Conquest of Everest, the Baton. I'm just going through what we have. Baton Death March, Red Baron scores 2 victories. Christmas in the Trenches could definitely be that. Entering the Forbidden City of Mecca, Irish Potato Famine, visit to the Red Light District, Battle of Waterloo, Revolutionary Tribunal, writing the Declaration, Portrait of New York City, Aboard the Mayflower, Execution of Mary, America sends syphilis to Europe, based. Flagellants attempt to repel the Black Death, Richard the Lionheart massacres the Saracens, Vikings discover America, fall of Rome, Julius Caesar crosses the Rubicon, and making an ancient Egyptian mummy. He snatched the trumpet from one of them and ran to the river with it, then sounding the... Okay, so I feel like this is probably... Wait, no, there was the Christmas truce, so that would be them playing soccer. So this maybe would be the Battle of Waterloo. I'm going to come back, but if I had to guess right now, I would say the Battle of Waterloo. It is in an almost incredibly short period. They were within 20 yards of us, shouting "Vive l'Empereur! L'Empereur!" Okay, that one might be the Battle of Waterloo, though, because that would be French for "Long live the Emperor," which would be Napoleon. So I feel like I'm just going to go ahead and send that one. Glad I didn't try that on the first one. Thrice they would all cast themselves on the ground in this sort of procession, stretching out their hands like the arms of a cross. Don't know. Maybe the Richard the Lionheart one? We were marched into a clearing. Here for 2 hours we had our first taste of the original sun treatment, which drains the stamina and weakens the spirit. That has to be the Baton Death March. One of... I was going to say one of the worst moments in history. It definitely is, but also there's tragically thousands of horrific moments like this throughout human history. If you're not familiar with it, you should do some reading on it, but also it's very depressing. I said, "What do you ask?" She hesitated a moment and then answered hesitatingly. She hesitated and answered hesitatingly, and evidently ready to lower her price if necessary, $50. What in the hell are you talking about? Irish Potato Famine? Portrait of New York City? I think it's one of those. Oh, wait. This one has to be the Flagellants. Yeah, okay. Who could believe that in all the regions of the east of Africa and Egypt, once ruled by the queenly city, would be filled with troops of slaves and handmaidens? All the regions of the east of Africa and Egypt, once ruled by the queenly city, would be filled with troops of slaves and handmaidens. Once ruled by the queenly city. What? I don't know. Spending too much time on these. Congress cut off about a quarter of it, as I expected they would, but obliterated some of the best of it and left all that was exceptionable, if anything, in it was. I mean, that has to be the writing of the Declaration of Independence. We left the village called the Bowery, lying on the right hand, and went through the woods to New Harlem, a tolerably large village situated on the south side of the island. I mean, a portrait of New York City. To my greatest delight, I noticed that he accepted battle, and my pleasure was increased when I discovered that his comrades deserted him. Christmas in the Trenches, maybe? Oh. To my greatest delight, I know that he accepted... Okay, that has to be the Red Baron. The executioner, or rather the minister of Satan, strove to kill not only her body, but also her soul, and kept interrupting her prayers. Definitely sounds like Mary Queen of Scots. The Embalmers, when a corpse is brought to them, you can stop right there. In a mighty storm, a strapping young man was, with the lurch of the ship, thrown into the sea, but it pleased God that he caught hold of the ropes which hung overboard. What? Oh, aboard the Mayflower, okay. Most of these unfortunates looked firmly up on the menacing instrument of death, beholding for the last time the rays of the glorious sun beaming on the polished axe. Probably the massacre. Son of a bitch. The inexperienced physicians applied not only improper but often contrary medicines which irritated the dissenter and deprived the life of multitude of both sexes and ages. Visit to the red light district? Oh no, or syphilis. The view was not spectacular. There were too high for a good landscape, and all below looked flat and monotonous. I don't know. I certainly saw from 150 to 180 funerals of victims to the want of food. Irish potato famine. German officer was right. It was possible for men to have the drunk French beer was rotten stuff. Christmas in the Trenches. On the morrow morning, our people gathered at the spot and found the Mussulmans stretched out upon the ground as martyrs for the faith. I believe that's Muslims, so probably Mecca. Okay, fuck. Then I performed the 7 circuits around the Kaaba. Okay, that's Mecca. Now was a cargo cut down for the ship, and when the spring came, I got ready and sailed away and leaf. Okay, Vikings discover America. He snatched a trumpet from one of them. Jesus. We're back here? What is this? I don't think they had trumpets in Rome. So maybe Richard the Lionheart. Are you shitting me? I said, what do you ask? She hesitated a moment and then hesitated by saying hesitantly that I hesitate for $50. That has to be the red light district. That makes a lot of sense. Ruled from the queenly city. Oh, Rome. What? How did I not get that? And this is our last one. The view is not spectacular. They were too high. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Those last two, I don't know how I didn't get them the first time. There were just too many options. I got mind flooded. 85%. There's one better than the last quiz. Eyewitnesses to America, I feel like I will do quite well on. Maybe. But generally, obviously, I know more about American history because I am American. Third-person account. But they could also be much more specific if they're focusing on one region, which might make it harder. The king's dearest daughter, when no entreaty could prevail, got his head in her arms and laid her own upon him to save him from death. Probably Pocahontas saves John Smith, but let's hold on. First person account. It was noted that in her, as in others like her, that if the afflicted went to approach her, they were flung down to the ground. And when she was asked to the reason of it, she said, I cannot tell, it may be the devil bears me more malice than another. That would have to be the Salem witch trials. Letter to a relative. Before 9 o'clock in the evening, every chest from on board the 3 vessels was knocked to pieces and flung over the sides. They say the actors were Indians from Narragansett. The Boston Tea Party. Unofficial transcript. I have always observed that in every colony, the more plenty the means of remittance to England, the more goods are sent for, and the more trade with England carried on. Franklin argues against the Stamp Act. A soldier's recollection. Finally, the place remained in the power of the Mexicans, and all the defenders were killed. It is a source of deep regret that after the excitement of combat, many acts of atrocity were allowed. Place remained in the power of the Mexicans. So, fall of the Alamo, probably. I'll hold off on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what that is. Journalist's diary. Soon afterwards, there entered with a shambling, loose, irregular, almost unsteady gait, a tall, lank, lean man, considerably over 6 feet in height, with stooping shoulders, long, pendulous arms, terminating in hands of extraordinary dimensions. Lord. Probably Lincoln at the White House. He was a huge man. Will made the second trial. The course was like mine, up and down, but a little longer over the ground, and through about the same in time. Distance not measured, but about 175 feet. Will Wright, the Wright brothers flying. Recollection of Daniel Inouye. And then we saw the planes. They came zooming up out of that sea of gray smoke. I'm going to guess this is Pearl Harbor. I haven't even looked below. I don't know if that's an option, but flying north toward where we stood and climbing into the bluest part of the sky, and then came in 2s and 3s in neat formations. Okay, yes, it is an option. Pilot's memory. To the men who fly the bombers, targets are inanimate, consisting of buildings. This is probably the atomic bombs. Consisting of buildings, bridges, docks, factories, railroad yards. The tragic consequences to humanity are erased from one's thoughts in wartime because war itself is a human tragedy. Personal recollection. I sat erect at my desk and said aloud, if you can't run with the ball, we don't have to tackle. And if we don't have to tackle, the roughness will be eliminated. I can still recall how it snapped my fingers and shouted, I've got it. Alright, it sounds like they're inventing sport. Yes, invents basketball. New York Times report. It is one of the few things that Leonardo da Vinci, Roger Bacon, Jules Verne, and other masters of forecasting failed utterly to anticipate. It is only within the last few years that prophets have been busy in this field. On the moon, possibly, or television, or the first phone call. Beyond these words, I don't recall any particular emotion or feeling other than a little caution, a desire to be sure that it was safe to put my weight on that surface outside Eagle's footpad. Journalist account. Suddenly we heard 3 loud, almost painfully loud cracks. The first sounded as if it might have been a large firecracker, but the second sounded third blasts were unmistakable gunfire. One sees history explode before one's eyes, and for even the most trained observer, there is a limit to what one can comprehend. Probably Burr killing Hamilton. No! Oh, probably JFK being assassinated. Permission to remove my brain, because it doesn't work. Diary entry. Mrs. Murphy said here yesterday that thought she would commence on Milt and eat him. I don't that she has done so yet. It is distressing. That is rather distressing. Diary of John Adams. When Congress had assembled, I rose in my place and in as short a speech as the subject would admit, represented the state of the colonies. Probably Washington is chosen for command. I mean, that's like the only other thing it could be. Press account. Asked if they were prepared, being answered in an affirmative, he gave the word present as has been agreed on, and both of the parties took aim and fired in succession. The intervening time is not presented as the seconds do not agree on that point. That would be Burr killing Hamilton. I presented some of them with red caps and some strings of glass beads, which they placed around their necks, and with other trifles of insignificant worth that delighted them. I believe Columbus eating Native Americans. Newspaper report. Then the houses, nearly all crowded with people, crashed one after another until the terrible wreckage extended half a mile up the stream. No pen can tell the horror of the shrieks of the thousands who were in the mass of floating ruins. What? Oh, Johnstown flood. Honestly, don't even know what that is. Laboratory journal. As it were, I could not make out the sense, but an occasional word here and there. It was quite distinct. I made out to and out and further, and finally the sentence, Mr. Bell, do you understand what I say? The first telephone call. When we arrived at the lake shore, we found thousands of men, women, and children, and hundreds of horses and dogs who had already fled there for refuge. The grounds were dotted all over at short intervals with piles of trunks, chairs, tables, beds, and household furniture of every description. I believe that is the Great Chicago Fire. The king's dearest daughter. Okay, we were right that that has to be Pocahontas. This has to be the Alamo. This has to be Television is Born, and then we missed JFK being assassinated because I am a smooth brain. Still trying to get our first 100%. Maybe this one can be it. At length, the word was given to move on. I glanced along the line in the form of Going Snake, an aged and respected chief whose head 80 winters had whitened. Mounted on his favorite pony, passed before me and led the way in advance. So something with a Native American. Founding of St. Augustine, Lost Colony, Boston Massacre, Paul Revere's Ride. Maybe Lewis and Clark, but I don't know. Trail of Tears. Pony Express. We'll come back. The doctors say the victim did not suffer. Only his maker knows if that to be true. To the eye, it looked as though he were in convulsive agony. Maybe the first electric chair? Yeah. Governor's recollection. One of the chief trees or posts at the right side of the entrance had the bark taken off, and 5 foot from the ground in fair capital letters was graven Croatoan, without any cross or signs of distress. What are you talking about? Is that the Lost Colony? Roanoke? That's my only guess. The crackle of the rifle volley cut the suddenly still air. It appeared to go on as a solid volley for perhaps a full minute or a little longer. When the firing stopped, a slim girl wearing a cowboy shirt and faded jeans was lying face down on the road at the edge of the parking lot, blood pouring out onto the macadam, about 10 feet from this reporter. That would be the Kent State Massacre. Shameful, shameful moment. Letter to a sister. Mr. Carroll has come to hasten my departure and in a very bad humor with me because I insist on waiting until the large picture of General Washington is secured, and it requires to be unscrewed from the wall. I don't think I internalized a single word I just said. Mr. Carroll has come to hasten my departure in a very bad humor with me because I insist on waiting until the large picture of General Washington is secured. Oh, that's Abigail Adams? Or no, Dolly Madison fleeing the White House, maybe, during the War of 1812? Yes. I think her name's Dolly. I can't remember. A reporter's memory. I remember dropping to see a vice president of one of the larger banks. He was walking back and forth in his office. Well, Elliot, he said, I thought I was a millionaire a few days ago, then I find I'm looking through the wrong end of the telescope. He laughed and he said, we'll get those bastards that did this yet. The stock market crash of 1929. Godard's memory. It looked almost magical as it rose, without any appreciable greater noise or flame, as if it said, I've been here long enough, I think I'll be going somewhere else if you don't mind. Probably the first rocket flight. Recollection of Mark Twain. The writer was usually a little bit of a man, brimful of spirit and endurance. No matter what time of day or night his watch came on, and no matter whether it was winter or summer, raining, snowing, hailing, or sleeting, he must always be ready to leap in the saddle and be off like the wind. The Pony Express. First person account. While we were near the entrance to the Bahama Channel, God showed to us a miracle from heaven. A comet appeared, which showed itself directly above us, a little eastward, giving so much light that it might have been taken for the sun. It went towards the west, that is, towards Florida. What? Oh, Fort Sumter attack. Maybe? That has to be it. Well, wait, no? I don't know. No, that can't be it, because Florida wouldn't be to the west. This unhappy affair began by some boys and young fellows throwing snowballs at the sentry placed at the custom house door, upon which 8 or 9 soldiers came to his assistance. Soon after, a number of people collected when the captain commanded the soldiers to fire, which they did, and 3 men were killed on the spot. Would that be Fort Sumter? Or that's probably the Boston Massacre. Yeah. Later recollection. One company of 28 that crossed the Ohio at Lawrenceburg, Indiana, 20 miles below Cincinnati, had for conductor a white man whom they had employed to assist them. The character of this man was full of contradictions. He was a Virginian by birth and spent much of his time in the South, yet he hated slavery. He was devoid of moral principle, but was a true friend to the poor slave. The Underground Railroad. I'm so afraid of getting one wrong. We had not gone too far from this village when the fog cleared off, and we enjoyed the delightful prospect of the ocean. That ocean, the object of all of our labors, the reward of all our anxieties. What? Probably Lewis and Clark. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. I heard the man shout some word which I thought was freedom. I instantly sprang toward him and seized him. He wrestled himself from my grasp and made a violent thrust at my breast with a large knife. I parried the blow by striking it up and received a wound several inches deep in my left arm. The man rushed to the front of the box and I endeavored to seize him again. Lincoln being shot? Or Little Bighorn? Or Fort Sumter. Letter to Dr. Jeremy Belknap. I returned at night through Charlestown. There I agreed with a Colonel Conant and by some other gentleman that if the British were out by water... Alright, Paul Revere. Recount to a filmmaker. Then pretty soon someone said, the blast is coming, because of course the blast would only come at the speed of sound. We didn't know what to expect. Trinity nuclear test. Eyewitness account. I do not pretend to go to sleep. How can I? If Anderson does not accept terms at 4, the orders are he shall be fired upon. I count 4 St. Michael's bells chimes, and I begin to hope. At 4:30, the heavy booming of a cannon, I sprang out of bed and my knees prostrate as I prayed as I never prayed before. That has to be Fort Sumter. A Russian Jew and his son are called next. Ellis Island. Let's just keep reading just to make sure. The father is pitiable-looking object. His large head rests upon a small, emaciated body. Yes. Reason first, you are a Virginian, and a Virginian ought to appear at the head of this business. Reason second, I am obnoxious, suspected, and unpopular. You are very much otherwise. Reason third, you can write 10 times better than I can. Jefferson picked to write the Declaration of Independence. So this must be John telling his wife why they picked Jefferson. It's kind of weird. On the hilltop, I met my relative, Bad Juice. He had been around Fort Abraham Lincoln and knew long hair by sight. When he came to the tall soldier lying on his back naked, Bad Soup pointed him out and said, Long Hair thought this was the greatest man in the world. Now he lies there. Well, I said, if that is Long Hair, I am the man who killed him. Little Bighorn, I guess. As I sat there, I tried not to think about what might happen. I knew anything was possible. This must be Rosa Parks. I could be arrested in the NAACP, the bus. At length, the world was given to move on. I only have 30 seconds. I glanced along the line and the form of Going Snake, an aged and respected chief who had 80... okay. Trail of Tears. This has to be the Lost Colony or something. This has to be Founding of St. Augustine. This has to be Lincoln is shot. Okay. A lot of those were, other than Founding of St. Augustine, that was the one where they were like Florida's to the west, and St. Augustine is in Florida, so that makes sense. I was thinking of, I don't know what I was thinking of, but it wasn't St. Augustine. But then like this was my guess. This was my guess. I think there was one more. I don't know, but we got 100. So that's very satisfying. Now I would love to do that on a non-American history one, just because I feel like that's a little more impressive since I am American. Same country. Can you match the historical figures by their same modern-day country of birth? So is this the same thing we did in the last video? Whoa. Okay, so we're just like pairing them off. So Ban Ki-moon is Korean. So let's look for a Korean. Kim Dae-jung. Bob Marley is Jamaican. Hold on, let's do something obvious, like Queen Victoria and Charles Darwin. And then we'll do John F. Kennedy and so many people. And then Van Gogh, Quisling, Tutankhamun, Socrates, Pocahontas. Help, help, help. Okay. I quit. Hans Christian Andersen is Danish. Cleopatra, I saw Tutankhamun. Okay. Confucius. Mao Zedong. Desmond Tutu and Nelson Mandela are both South African. Emperor Hirohito, do we have someone from the great nation of Japan? Oh, Oda Nobunaga. Galileo, do we have a wonderful Italian over here somewhere? Richelieu was French, wasn't he? Not Italian? Norwegian, Russian, Dutch, or I believe, yeah, Dutch. Oh, Copernicus. There we go. What? Are you serious? I hate everything. Eva Perón is Argentinian. Che Guevara from Argentina. Miguel de Cervantes is Spanish. Rasputin and Lenin are from the same country. Joan of Arc and Richelieu are from the same country. King David is from Israel, I assume. Beethoven is German. Euler, I think, is German, but he could be Swedish. This is horrible. Plato and Socrates. Mozart is Austrian. Hitler is Austrian. Vlad the Impaler is Romanian. I believe Cosescu, or however you say it, is Romanian. Vasco da Gama is Portuguese. Martin Luther is German, right? Beethoven is German. Magellan is Portuguese. Trudeau is Canadian. Who is Canadian up here? Moctezuma is Aztec. I saw someone who had a Q name, right? Right? Yeah, this guy has to be Aztec. Pizarro, Francisco Pizarro. You were a conquistador, weren't you? I don't know where you were from. I believe you're Indian. You're Spanish, so maybe Pizarro is also Spanish, but wasn't Christopher Columbus on here? No, Christopher Columbus is Italian, isn't he? What is happening? Yes, he is. You dummy. You dummy. Jesus is probably born in the same place as King David. Marie Curie is Polish. Do we have a Pullman? I believe Niels Bohr is Polish. No! What? Hold on, who's our Norwegian over here? We still have 2.5 minutes. I don't know why I thought we had way less time. Carl Jung, Norwegian. Eva Peron is Argentinian. Hans Christian Andersen is Danish. Why can't I find another American? James Joyce is Irish. Euler, Muhammad, Ned Kelly. Who the... Okay, it's either Ned Kelly or Terry Fox. I don't know who either of those people are. Who's the other Canadian? Probably the other between Ned Kelly and Terry Fox. Mohammed and Abdul Aziz bin Saud. I apologize for my pronunciation. Is Bohr Swedish? Or is Carl Jung Norwegian? That's the question. Do I have a Hispanic sounding name like Che Guevara? He has to be Argentinian. I did not know that. Pocahontas, probably born in the same country as JFK. You absolute idiot. This was the person in yesterday's video. I didn't know who they were. Maybe they're from Jamaica, because I don't see anyone else that could be from Jamaica. Maybe Melba, but I'll go with... God damn it. Ireland. James Joyce is Irish. Oscar Wilde, I believe, is Irish. Euler and Jung are both Swedish. Copernicus, where the is Copernicus Danish? What is happening? Oh, wait, Dutch. Amundsen could be Dutch. Mata Hari could be Dutch. Amundsen sounds Norwegian. Yeah, he's a genius. Van Gogh is Dutch. Marcus Garvey is Jamaican. I've heard that name, but I can't remember who that is. Marie Curie is Polish. Is Copernicus Polish? What the fuck? I've never been more confused in my life. We got an 87%. I'll take it, considering who was the other Dane? Niels Bohr. Okay, I think I did know that. That makes sense. I'm embarrassed. Don't know who Terry Fox is. Mata Hari is Dutch. I think I floated that as a possibility, but I was just guessing. And Dame Nellie Melba, I don't know who that is. And Ned Kelly. Who? What? I don't know who either of those people are. I don't know what country they're from. Dutch, Danish. What country did we not cover? Hold on, I gotta look this up right now. I'm gonna turn off my screen region, and then I'm gonna say Dame. I already forgot her name. Nellie Melba. She's Australian. Okay. Not even gonna look up Ned Kelly because I don't care, to be honest with you. And we are moving on. We're at 29 minutes. This is a long video, but we have one left. Europe. Can you identify 5 European historical figures who correspond to each century? I believe this should be relatively doable. Whoa. Okay, I didn't know we were going that far back. 19th century. Anne Frank. Not 19th century. Sorry, 1900s. Cosescu, I believe. Please? Alright, that's troubling, because that should be the easiest one. Okay, hold on. 400 BC has to be Plato. Or by Plato, I mean Socrates. Nero would be the 1st century AD, I believe. Hello? Okay, I went the very wrong way. That would be here. I don't know why I did it this way. I'm losing my mind. Okay, we're in the 1800s. Let's go to the 1700s. Marie Antoinette. Let's go to the 1500s. Mary, Queen of Scots. Let's go to the 1700s. This is the least efficient way you could possibly do this. Maximilian Robespierre. Maria Theresa is either the 1600s or the 1700s. I think she's the 1700s. I'm going to send it. Oh, baby. Catherine the Great, I believe, is the 1700s. Anne Boleyn was the 1500s, correct? Because that's one of Henry VIII's wives, right? Yes. Blaise Pascal, 1700s or 1800s or 1600s, you know, really narrowing it down. Boudica, ancient Celt, probably either BC or early AD. Charles Dickens, 1800s, obviously. Wrong direction, dummy. I'm going to get timed out on this one for sure. Karl Marx, 1800s. John Milton, I believe, is 1900s, actually. Ivan the Terrible, 1600s? No! Michelangelo, 1400s. Come on. That's not even a thing. Okay, he must be 1500s. I got saved by that not being an option. Mozart would be 1800s. Are you shitting me? Is he the... Did I get Beethoven and Mozart backwards? Is Beethoven 1800s and Mozart 1700s? I thought Beethoven predated Mozart's. God damn it. Ovid is the old Greek man who wrote Metamorphoses or whatever. This is bad. Simone de Beauvoir is 1800s. What? Wait, I think I'm thinking of Simon Bolivar. Oh shit. Wagner is 1800s. Don't tell me I'm out of 1800s. Okay, I have one pick left. Okay. I also have 3 picks in 1900s left. John Milton has to be. Do it. I am the biggest dummy who has ever lived. Rembrandt is either 1800s or 1700s, and 1800s is not an option anymore. Fuck my life. This is going atrociously. Thomas Aquinas, easy 1600s. I'm gonna lose it. Thomas Aquinas, easy 1500s. What? Oh wait, is he like really old? I'm getting owned. Holy shit. I don't know who Dubček is. I don't know who Nevsky is. I've heard of Alexander Nevsky. Don't know who Spinoza is. Don't know who Mozart is. I know who Blaise Pascal is. I don't know when he was alive. It's either 1600s or 1700s. I'm out. Are you shitting me? I'm out of 1700s guesses. All right, Blaise Pascal, please God, be in the 1600s. Thank you. Caligula. Let's go ancient for a little bit. 400s BC. Most of the Greek dudes, like Sophocles, Pericles, Pliny the Elder, Thucydides. All right. Now the Romans, Caligula, Pliny the Elder, Ovid, Herodotus. No, that was the other Greek dude, you absolute dumbass. Moliere. Moliere was probably the 17 or 1800s, and neither of those are available to me at this point. Mozart was definitely the 1800s. You still have 3 1900s? 2. But... okay, Francis of Assisi was probably the zeros, and I fucked that up. Simone de Beauvoir. Are you 1900s? Yes, okay. Rembrandt, I think you're 1800s. Could be 1600s, I guess. Okay, you are 1600s. Ivan the Terrible, 1600s. Kill me with a spoon. Okay. Moliere. We've got a bunch of 1200s. We have like all of the 1200s. So let's get oh, Boudica was definitely the zeros as well. Let's get Francis of Assisi. Okay, that makes sense. John Milton. Nope. Moliere. Fibonacci. Yeah, I only have 10 seconds left. I think I'm just gonna. Oh, Thomas Aquinas. Okay, I'm gonna call it there. Somehow I only got 11 wrong. I mean, plus all the ones I didn't get, like that I ran out of time on. 65%. We beat the average. That was hard as hell. Let's look at the stats. Anne Frank, by far the most gotten. Who's the most gotten that I didn't get? Mozart. That makes sense. I must have just gotten Mozart and Beethoven's timelines flipped. For some reason, I thought Beethoven predated Mozart. Wait, I think. Now I don't even know what I did. Okay. Dubček, I've heard of him, but I don't know who he is. Herodotus, that's embarrassing. Obviously. He's an old Greek guy. Franz Liszt, I've heard of him. I think he's like a composer. Maybe a playwright, but I'm pretty sure he's a composer. Hannah Arendt, don't know who that is, but given her name is Hannah, I assume the 1900s or the 1800s. Boudica should be the zeros, because she fought against the Romans. John Milton, was he like the 1500s? Yeah, he wrote Paradise Lost. Didn't I guess him in like the 1900s? What is wrong with me? Ivan the Terrible is either the 1600s or the 1700s or the 1500s. I think I guessed 1700s and 1600s for him, so he must be 1500s. Catherine the Great was 1700s, and I think she was definitely after Ivan the Terrible, and I guess 1600s for him, so he has to be 1500s. Moliere would be 17 or 1800s, I believe. And then these. Absolutely no idea. I apologize for my poor showing. Let me know how you did if you played along on this quiz. This quiz is very difficult. We did very well in the American history ones, as to be expected. What was the other one we did? The general eyewitness thing? We did okay. We got 17 out of 20. Four good performances, and then just an ass beating. But that's how it goes on Sporcle sometimes. Thank you guys so much for watching. This video went much longer than I intended it to. If you are enjoying this content, please leave a like and subscribe. It helps out a great deal, and I will see you guys again next time.